Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day. We are staying on top of some breaking news this morning in West Charlotte, where one person is fighting for their life after a shooting on Brookshire Boulevard. It happened overnight near the I-85 interchange. It's not clear yet if police have a suspect in custody.
Happening today, the second Music Fest returns to Uptown. Thousands expected to pack First Word Park this weekend to see acts like Gwen Stefani, Pitbull, Dave Matthews Band. Road closures are already in effect this morning. It includes all streets in the immediate area of the festival there in First Ward Uptown. Officials tell us roads will be reopened next Tuesday before the morning rush.
And this morning we have slow traffic on I-85 northbound yet again. It is because of a crash that is impacting traffic. This is I-85 north at NC 273 backed up to NC 7.
All right, getting right to your 7-day forecast. Light chance for storms today. Much better chance on and off through the afternoon with widespread rain heading through your Saturday evening. There's even a chance for some severe storms. We'll keep you updated and in the loop on WCNC Plus coming up here shortly.
And as we leave you, we want to leave you with some breaking news. This is unfolding right now in Dilworth. As you can see, a house fire there. Reports that it may have been an explosion on Lombardi Circle. That's right next to Atrium Health.
Now we have crews just arriving at that scene, and we'll have breaking news coverage starting in just a few minutes over on WCNC Plus. So make sure you join us there for the latest on that. Again, a house fire. Not sure if there was some type of explosion, but join us.
Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus, I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We are following some breaking news right now in Dilworth, where crews are on the scene of a large house fire that may have started as an explosion.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Van now live there. He arrived just moments ago. All right, Richard, bring us up to speed. What do we know?
Yeah, so far the good news in all of this is that no one was injured. There were folks on either side of this house, which was actually up for sale. And right now there's nothing left of the house. Firefighters were here very quickly, were able to get this house under control, this explosion under control. A number of neighbors told me personally that they heard a loud boom when they looked out the window. All they saw was this house engulfed in flames. There were people who lived, residents on either side of this house. They were able to get out safely. Concerned neighbors, of course, outside all morning after this incident happened, making sure their neighbors were okay. This house that exploded was actually up for sale. No one inside at the time. So that's the good news. Right now, firefighters are just making sure there are no hot spots, trying to determine exactly what happened. We are waiting to hear from the PIO, the spokesperson for the fire department. They're supposed to be giving us an update in just a few minutes. So we're going to go and listen to that right now. Of course, we'll have more updates coming up within the stream in just a little bit. But that's the situation right here in Dilworth. Again, Ruben showing you the situation. A house exploding right here. This is right off of in Dilworth, and it exploded. The neighbors say they heard a loud boom, walked outside, looked and saw this house that was once across the street just gone. Lombardi Circle right here near East Boulevard, gone. The house was up for sale. No one inside. The good news, no one injured in this. Of course, we're going to go talk to the fire department, find out exactly what we can, bring that information to you both here as well as through all of our social media platforms. We're going to cut it short so we can get up the street and get to them. But right now, this is the closest look you're going to get from anybody on the scene right here, right now. Guys, send it back to you.
Yeah, Richard, if you and Ruben have to walk off to get that information, feel free. We're on streaming, so don't feel the need to stay there if you don't have to. But for some context for folks watching from home, this is an area that's filled with the sort of quintessential historic bungalows that Dilworth is known for. A lot of those have been eaten up in the last few years by Atrium Health because it's expanding its footprint there. Adding more and more facilities. And so this specific street is sort of a transitional street between what is now a huge Atrium Health campus and what are some of the historic homes there in Dilworth. This house, it sounds like in particular, up for sale at the time.
Right.
So it doesn't like anybody was in it or a family was in it, but we're also hearing reports that some of the nearby homes, keep in mind that this is a densely packed neighborhood with these homes close by. So if a house explodes, the next house is just a few feet away. We're not talking about, acre plots here. We're talking pretty small lots that can have a ripple effect in the neighborhood.
If you look closely to the left of your screen, of course it changes just as I started talking about it, but you could actually see some of the firefighters there. They were going to a home which was right by that one there. And we, I think are going to get some sound from maybe one of the neighbors in the area. But of course, this is a very active situation now. Again, Richard on the scene. They're waiting to get some information from the public information officer. We will bring that to you as soon as we get it right here on WCNC Plus.
Let's go ahead and get a check of traffic right now. Destiny's sitting by. Destiny, I know you got your eye on this situation and several others.
Yeah, that's right. Right now, we are seeing that closure in the Dilworth area. It is showing up on the map, so let's zoom in. Right now, the closure is really just this street, East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle, but it's really a bit larger between Maryland and Cumberland. That's what Sigler is specifying, between Maryland Avenue and Cumberland Avenue. So this is the purple that's indicating that closure. Again, this is near Freedom Park, and of course, Richard will have more of the details on the incident, but just be aware that is affecting traffic in the Dilworth area. We also have a big accident on I-85 northbound at NC 273. That's exit 27. Traffic is backed up all the way into the Lowell area as well as a little bit into Gastonia this morning. So definitely not great to have that headache on top of things as well.
All right, let's get right to it, Destiny. We have a chance for severe storms to the northwest today. all of us have a chance for just a thunderstorm in general, but some could be strong. But certainly the heavy rain is turning out to be a major factor, especially how much is going on for your Saturday. And then Sunday, things start to improve. You see a little bit of yellow there on the map, but I'm not really going to call anything severe at that point. So Louisville. Here it is. We have a beautiful sky to start off the day. Really the best part of today, I think, is the morning, and then we increase the cloud cover for a cloudier end to the day. 84 degrees is your high around Charlotte, 82 for you in Hickory and the foothills, and then lower to the mid-70s up in Boone, where I think that you're going to see rain first. Getting to your Love and Life forecast. It is not a lovable forecast for your Saturday, I'm being honest. I would be surprised if it doesn't rain at one point during one of the concerts on Saturday. If it somehow misses everything, I would be shocked. We are looking at today a better chance of staying dry throughout the concerts, and Sunday there's an isolated rain chance, storm chance, but I think likely we're staying dry. So let's get to today. Yeah, you have a couple of 20s popping up. Really the best chance for rain, I think, is a little bit closer to midnight. So let's roll tape. Here's what it looks like. You can see those clouds increase, as I mentioned. The best chance for any activity is really north of I-40 and up into the mountains. Not saying you're not going to see it elsewhere. I think a spotty pop-up shower here and there is going to be a good possibility. We have the heat, we have the moisture content that is going to be rising up, and especially a little bit closer to a front that's positioned off towards the west. That's why we're seeing a little bit more activity right up here. Now, I think that this continues through the overnight, so good chance after midnight that rain starts to roll in. So a lot of us waking up to a wet ground on Saturday. If you're getting up super early, well, you might even encounter some of those light to moderate rain showers. I want to talk about the rainfall, though, because we're looking at substantial values that could come out of this. Through the course of today and tonight, I think that you could see up to about 3/4 of an inch up in the mountains. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit more than a trace of what we see here across the Charlotte area. But then through the afternoon, we could see some storms maybe bring some rain up to about an inch, up to an inch across the area. But then the main event is all the rain that we see later on in the evening and the overnight. Check out these rain totals, getting anywhere from 1 to 2 inches plus across this event, with most of that happening during a short time period. So that always kind of raises some flags, some red flags you see here for us to stay weather aware and weather alert. So late Saturday especially, we're looking at that widespread rain that's going to be possible here. We have lightning and that brief heavier rainfall is going to be a possibility. So have the poncho, rain jacket, rain boots type of scenario. As far as what are risks for severe storms during the middle of the day, that is going to be large hail and some of those damaging winds. So this is your full future cast. This is everything you need to know. As I already showed you, the chances for rain up in the mountains, that's going to be most prevalent, I think, really after 3-4 o'clock, going until around sunset. And then we see that second coming of showers trying to work its way in. Here's your Saturday. I think you're dry for most of the morning, but watch. This is noon. This is 1. This is 3. At that point, storms, I think, shoot up real fast. Some of these could cluster together. I think any individual storm, that's going to be your hail threat. The concert starts off right around 2 o'clock. But then once you get to the start of right around ludicrous, that's where I think that you could have a quick passing shower. At that point, a severe thunderstorm warning is not out of the question, so there could be some delays factor in. Here is the best optimism I've seen over the last few days. The main batch of rain that I'm talking about, that flooding potential, should have a little bit of a lull during the evening. If that happens, maybe you have some light rain, but fingers crossed, if we can hold off this rain until about 11 o'clock when Weezer's done for your Saturday, then I think you're going to be good. Because if this rain arrives earlier, anytime during, say, Luda at 7, Pitbull at 8 o'clock. Also, you have SZA and Kendrick Lamar at 7 o'clock. If that happens, there's going to be delays, and you're going to have to wait for a very long time. So hopefully, this keeps this timing, because this arrives right around midnight to 1. That's where you have the most widespread rain. This will be out of here by about sunrise tomorrow. We'll keep the clouds and some fog around, but by your Sunday afternoon, everything's good. So a much better end to Love and Life than what we're going to have right in the middle of it. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up a little bit later here on WCNC+. Stay dry.
Thanks, Chris. Happening today, the second annual Love and Life Music Festival returns to Uptown, and thousands are expected to pack First Ward Park this weekend to see acts like Gwen Stefani, Pitbull, and Dave Matthews Band. But before that fun can actually start, some reminders for those heading to Uptown. Love and Life will have a clear bag policy in place, and road closures are already in effect this morning. That includes all streets in the immediate area of the festival. Officials tell us roads will reopen next Tuesday before rush hour. Richard is going to have more on that. Actually, he's at that breaking news in Dilworth, so we will continue to give you updates about that. But we're going to find out more about those road closures now from Destiny.
Yeah, if you're heading to the Love and Life Music Fest or you are just driving through Uptown this weekend, you want to know that most of the closures are near First Ward Park. So looking at some of those closures right now, you've got Brevard Street, North Brevard Street, as well as North Caldwell Street, all the way into or going towards Spectrum, and then also between 9th and 5th. So this is a little bit more extended than the closures from last year. Before it was just to 7th Street, but now it's between 9th and 5th. And so it's mainly around the light rail tracks as well. So between Caldwell and those light rail tracks. Here's a breakdown, and you can see the labeled streets a little bit better here. So 7th, 8th, and 9th Streets closed between Caldwell and the light rail tracks. Brevard Street between 5th and 9th Streets, and then Caldwell Street between 5th and 9th Streets. So if you're driving around this, you want to mainly go on North Davidson's or North College Street and not just drive inward into where First Ward Park is, as well as right in front of the Spectrum Center. If you happen to be going to Love and Life Music Fest, you might want to take the light rail because that'll be better in terms of the crowd that'll be for foot traffic and also for the event setup. Just a lot of people walking around, not just the event setup going on. So just be aware of that. There's also some closures happening tonight, or rather tomorrow night, for a pre-show fan fest with Kendrick and SZA before their concert. So just be aware of that. That's in your Bank of America Stadium. You can find more information on these closures and the closures for that pre-show fan fest for the concert. That's all on the WCNC Charlotte News app.
Thanks, Destiny. WCNC Charlotte has you covered on all things Love and Life, as Destiny mentioned, from the safety efforts to the road closures to the forecast. Find out what you need. All you have to do is download the WCNC Charlotte app, free in your app store.
Business leaders sounded the alarm over President Trump's tariffs this morning, with more set to kick in tomorrow. And in just hours, we're expecting to get our first look at the April jobs report.
NBC's Bianca Fascini is taking a closer look at how the tariffs are already taking a toll.
Have prom.
Business leaders from across the country sounding the alarm over President Trump's tariffs.
Everything that is imported from another country, adding anywhere from 10 to 20% on every one of our invoices.
Tariffs are just... In a letter to the administration, Suzanne Clark, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, warns many small businesses will suffer irreparable harm if exclusions aren't made for them. Though it's not just small businesses that are feeling the heat.
The demand is way down. Now, a lot of that is, I think, the consumer reaction to the tariffs.
While the panic spreads as more tariffs are set to go into effect Saturday, the message from the president is still optimistic. In an address Thursday night, he told college graduates at the University of Alabama that the tariffs are working as intended.
It's making us very rich, and you'll be seeing the results pretty soon, sooner than most people think.
However, members of his own party acknowledge the ripple effects the tariffs are having on the economy, like stocks initially taking a tumble earlier this week, after data revealed the economy contracted in the first quarter of the year.
Some of this is clearly a reaction to the uncertainty on taxes and trade. I mean, it's indisputable. So we got to work on it.
Meanwhile, Trump blamed what he called the Biden overhang for the market reaction, though Wall Street did eventually recover those losses. Now, all eyes are on Friday's monthly jobs report, which could offer clues on where the economy is headed. Now, in the meantime, the Trump administration is asking business leaders and consumers to be patient, while at the same time dealing with some troubling poll numbers over his handling of the economy so far. In Washington, Bianca Fascini, NBC News.
Vice President J.D. Vance is headed to Ohio this morning after making an appearance in the South Carolina Lowcountry yesterday. He toured the Nucor Steel Berkeley manufacturing plant just outside Charleston, touting the Trump administration's push to bring more manufacturing back to the U.S. It's one outcome the administration hopes will come from its sweeping new tariffs on China.
We can have beautiful skies, we can have clean air, we can have clean water, we can also have good American manufacturing jobs. There's no tension between those two things.
The vice president also pushed back on criticism of the tariffs and the increased costs for American businesses. With the Real ID deadline now just days away, there will be a passport fair in Stanfield tomorrow. First-time applicants will be able to apply in person without an appointment. It's happening at the Stanfield Post Office from noon to 4. Take a look at your screen because here's what you'll need in order to apply. You'll have to have proof of U.S. citizenship, a photo ID with copies, a passport photo, and payment. Now, you won't get your passport on site, but it will be mailed to you. This is the only event like this in the state for the next 2 months.
7:15 right now. Back to that breaking news we're following right now on WCNC Plus. A home destroyed and a fire and possible explosion. We're waiting to get an update from officials. Richard Devane there on scene, about to speak to the public information officer for the Charlotte Fire Department. But as of right now, we know this is happening on Lombardi Circle, about a block off East Boulevard in Dilworth, just behind the Atrium Main hospital campus. It's a campus that's been expanding in recent years. We know this neighborhood, though, is still filled with lots of those historic bungalows that Dilworth is known for. This house in particular, we know was up for sale at the time.
That's right. Again, a very active presence there. A number of firefighters. We heard Richard say earlier, some neighbors said they heard like a loud boom, and then they walked out to see what was going on, to see the home there destroyed. A number of firefighters still on the scene. As you mentioned, Richard is waiting to get some more information from Charlotte Fire just about what happened to this home here in Dilworth this morning. We're going to continue to stay with this and bring you any updates as we get them, including information from Charlotte Fire about this fire here in Dilworth.
Real quickly, I just want to say, because we haven't said it again, but as far as we know, nobody's hurt. And the house, it appears to be a total loss. And some of the nearby homes, considering this is a densely packed neighborhood, some of the nearby homes, we're being told, have been damaged as well. So it's a fluid situation there. We'll get an update just as soon as possible.
Right now, though, we need to turn to our weather, and much of the country still dealing with severe storms. Chris has been tracking them and will let us know if we have any of that impact here in the Carolinas.
Well, I'm happy to say that we are not anticipating any tornadoes, especially about the one you're about to see. Check this out. A tornado caught on camera here in Texas. This is substantial. What you're actually looking at is a wedge tornado. This is usually one of the strongest variety. This is from a storm spotter, and this was in correspondence with the National Weather Service. Confirmed this tornado on the ground. This is northeast in Burnett County. This is around 4:30 p.m. yesterday. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect there for really on and off, I think, throughout today, because we're going to see that ongoing threat. Larger hail also associated with this, because typically when you have a storm like this, it's a supercell that is always 100% of the time going to have some sort of hail core. So oftentimes that's a warning that comes before something like this. Also, localized flooding. That's another really big story. Dangerous flash flooding continues. Rushing water of this magnitude could lift a vehicle even as much as of an SUV with ease. Usually 18 inches of moving water. That's going to allow that, where authorities say a man drove around barricades and later died when his vehicle was swept away by rushing water. We always say turn around, don't drown for a reason. A deputy was hurt also trying to save a man, so try not to be reckless in these type of examples. Torrential rain has also been battering Oklahoma, Texas due to this stall frontal system. Around 16 million people were under high water alerts at one point during that afternoon. And this is substantial, and I always say that over 50% of all the flooding deaths are people that are trying to drive through flooding waters or over bridges. Bridges are always a treacherous time. So here's a look at that severe weather risk across the country. It's in red, so that's an enhanced risk all the way through central Texas, up through Tennessee and Kentucky. That is going to be the big major weather story for the near term. But then meanwhile for us, it's going to be all this rain that heads towards us. We have a slight chance for severe storms, nothing you just saw, luckily. But look at all these rain totals. These are spiking up to over 5 to 6 inches over the last couple of days. And some of those totals have actually been over 10 inches if you really allow day 3 to be factored in there. There's the severe thunderstorm warnings that are now starting to flourish across Arkansas. We have that quasi-stationary front, meaning a front that's kind of moving, that is starting to moving really through today. That's what's going to arrive a little bit later on, and that's what's really been the big headache about our forecast. We've been wondering, when is this going to move? It's systems like historically Harvey that when they sit in one place, I know that's a tropical system, can cause the most epic rains. And we've been seeing a lot of atmospheric blocking that's been happening recently. That's why you still have a medium threat for flash flooding through much of Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, over into Alabama, Mississippi and also western side of Tennessee. Meanwhile, here, closer to home, we also have a slight chance for low flooding risk, especially Saturday late day heading into early Sunday morning. So here's what's happening. That front is finally starting to get going. We're going to see some spotty showers, especially on the western side of the Carolinas today. So I'm not discounting that Charlotte and other areas won't see these, but I think it's a much better chance that the further west that you go, and that's why those areas are actually under a low to a medium threat for a severe thunderstorm. But I want to show you about that optimism I'm talking about for the concert and any plans that we have. So what you're seeing right here, this line of showers and storms, I think this is the one that has the best chance to actually be severe. This is much stronger than the one that I'm pointing out to around 7 o'clock, but it's going to arrive a little bit later on the evening. So that's going to temper some of its severe expectations. Still a chance for a severe storm along with it, but I think it's mainly a flood event. But it's this one right here that if it factors in enough sunshine, could have maybe some straight line winds and earlier on, maybe even some hail that's associated with it. But there's enough lull in between these systems that there might be a nice little period of dryness. It still will feel damp before you get the main heavy rain. And let me show you. Our futurecast showing scattered rain to the northwest through and on and off this afternoon, starting around 3 to 4 o'clock, but you don't really see a lot of other cells popping up down to the southeast. So I'm not going to say you won't see it. It's just actually a better chance of staying dry southeast of Charlotte and around Charlotte through the afternoon than getting a shower. And if you do, it shouldn't last long, less than an hour. That rain is also going to be a possibility as we work our way through the overnight, but then heading into tomorrow, I think we're going to have some drying periods. And that scattered rain, I think it's going to be most prevalent really about later on. There is a flood potential now with lightning, and that heavy rain could allow 1 to 2 inches of rain to fall. So check this out. Here's a little lull I'm talking about. It might not be a big one. The lull might be really just light rain instead of torrential downpours. But once this rain arrives, this is the one that could have rain rates up to 1 inch plus per hour. That's going to be a problem. A lot of frequent lightning. So if we can hold this one off until about midnight to the early morning hours, that's the best scenario for your evening and heading into Sunday. Sunday, by the way, we should see sunshine by the late morning heading into the afternoon. So just kind of a dreary start. So feel free to eat pancakes and be lazy. Then after that, it's going to be a delightful start to the week. A little bit cooler behind a secondary front on Tuesday heading into Wednesday, with our next rain chance outside of what we got going on this weekend, Thursday. Now let's get over to Destiny to see what's going on right now. Been a very busy morning for you.
It has. We have a couple of things going on, and you can see a little bit more congestion building, not just on I-85 northbound. That's kind of been going on all day, but also on I-485. We have actually 2 new incidents on I-45 up north and then down south. So the newest accident here is I-45 outer loop at Old Statesville Road. That's exit 23C, and traffic is backed up to Prosperity Church Road. Definitely a very busy area to get on and off of I-485. And you can see a little bit of the congestion happening in that area. So a couple miles of a backup there. We also have an accident on I-45 inner loop at Arrowwood Road. That's exit 3 backed up to Tryon Street, exit 1. Not as much of a backup seeing there yet. I-85 northbound at NC 273. This has been going on for a while. There was also that earlier accident from overnight, so this backup is definitely going to be around for a while. Hopefully it lightens up pretty soon. And then again, we have the house fire that we're covering near Freedom Park. That is East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle. This isn't the specific closure, but it's the major streets on either side of where this is happening. Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive. So if you need to get around this, just be sure to just plan around the closure happening in the vicinity of between Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive.
A lot going on this weekend in the Charlotte area, so what to do this weekend? One big event is Cinco de Mayo Festival. It happens Saturday at Symphony Park at South Park from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Lots of great music, delicious Mexican food, arts and crafts. There's going to be something for the entire family. So this weekend, Saturday at Symphony Park, it's a Cinco de Mayo Festival. I'm Larry Sprinkle. That's what's happening this weekend.
We're going to take a quick break right now, but make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus at 7:26. We're going to have another update on weather and traffic. We'll also be streaming the headlines, including that breaking news happening now in Dilworth. Reports of a house fire there, possibly an explosion. We'll have the latest coming up in just 2 minutes. now 7:26. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. We continue to follow breaking news this morning out of Dilworth, where a home is destroyed after an explosion. Our crews at the scene tell us the house was up for sale and nobody was injured. This all happening on Lombardi Circle, just about a block off East Boulevard. We do know a couple of homes nearby were damaged as well by the explosion, but everybody made it out safely. We'll have a live report coming up on WCNC Plus at 7:30.
Slightest chance for an on and off shower or even storm later this afternoon. Much better chance through the overnight. Highs reaching the lower to the mid 80s. Our severe weather risk is highest to the northwest, so the mountains and the foothills likeliest to see any storms. But then all of us will be under some sort of threat by tomorrow. Lightning, I think, is going to be the highest threat that we have, especially for your Saturday. But still, some flooding and some damaging winds are going to be a possibility for your Saturday afternoon. Our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, where weather alert to close out your Saturday, should be clearing out for your Sunday and a better start to next week. Destiny?
Yeah, speaking of that house fire on Lombardi Circle at East Boulevard, just be aware that the closure is between Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive, so avoid East Boulevard between those two main streets this morning. We do have more coverage coming up on WCNC Plus. We'll also see you back here in 30 minutes.
Live now at 7:30 right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We are following breaking news right now in Dilworth, where crews are on the scene of a large house fire caused by a possible explosion.
This is looking at video sent in from our crews just in the past 30 minutes or so. They're currently working to get some more information from fire officials and actually are being moved from their current location down the street. But here's what we know at this hour. The house was up for sale at the time and nobody was injured. We do know that a couple nearby homes were damaged by the blast, but everybody made it out safely. At this point, we're not sure if anybody was at the home. It doesn't appear anybody was at the home since there were no injuries, but we do know it had a ripple effect throughout what is a tightly compacted neighborhood there in Dilworth. This is just a block off East Boulevard, and if you're not familiar with that, it's just behind the big sprawling Atrium Hospital campus there in Dilworth on the corner, right where Dilworth meets Myers Park.
And again, our Richard Devane is at that scene. We're hoping to get some more information from Charlotte Fire once they give some information publicly. But we do want to hear from, I believe, a neighbor in the area. Let's listen into this.
Just saw an explosion. Didn't know really what it was. Came outside, the house was full, and there were people running out of that.
The house next to it.
The house next to it, eventually. And we know the neighbors on the other side, they got out. So as far as I know, nobody's in the house.
and I heard from other neighbors the house was up for sale, correct?
That's correct. The house was up for sale.
So was it under construction or just up for sale?
No, it's just up for sale.
Again, a neighbor there explaining the house was up for sale, and he heard the neighbors getting out of their houses. As you said, this is a neighborhood where the homes are kind of packed in, so it's not very sprawling, but just so many densely packed houses in the area.
Yeah, it might be a saving grace, the fact that it was up for sale and might not have had anybody inside. I can tell you that Lombardi Circle is a street, as I said, that bumps up to Atrium Health, and the hospital over the last few years has been buying up a lot of those streets right there and buying up homes and things like that. So if you go down the street, you'll see the hospital over to one side, and you'll see some new condos that are going in, and then some of the older homes as well. Richard Devane now back with us now live on scene. Richard, what's the latest?
Yeah, we're still waiting for an update from the PIO here on the scene. But Ben, you've been giving an excellent update on exactly what type of neighborhood this is. I'm going to step out of the way and let you take a look. As we did say, a number of neighbors have told us that this was a house that was up for sale. You've talked about the type of houses in this neighborhood. Tight-knit community, a lot of people know each other. People are concerned about the actual person who owns the home, wondering where he is, trying to contact him. We're still waiting for an update from the fire department on if they've made contact with that person as of yet. But as you can see, there is, as Ruben shoots in and pans in, you can see that there is nothing left of that house here on Lombardi Circle. A number of residents we spoke with told us about that explosion that they heard. We spoke to one resident just a little bit ago who told us off camera that she was asleep and they live about a block, not a block away, half a block away, and the glass inside their homes shattered outwardly. So that means that it was because of the blast and the explosion, the force of the explosion actually made the blast come and the glass exploded outward. So basic physics is that it was so powerful and the force was so powerful that it actually exploded outward. Guys, let me step in front of the camera to give you a quick update, a quick wrap, because as I can see that we're about to have an update on what's going on here. So let us step away, let you guys handle what you're going to do, and we'll have an update for you in a little bit. But for now, we're right here in Dilworth. This is Richard Devane. Guys, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thank you so much for that update. And of course, when we get that information from Charlotte Fire, we will, of course, share it for you right here on WCNC+.
I tell you what, if we get through the end of this story and it remains that nobody was hurt, it's going to be amazing.
It's miraculous. It really is.
Considering how tight the neighborhood is, just how close the houses can be. You've got townhomes just across the street as well. You've got a medical facility nearby.
Right.
A lot of times in the explosions, I think back to one, I believe in was it Iredell County about a year and a half ago. That killed a father, and I think back to Ballantyne about 5 years ago.
Yes.
That killed 2 people. These explosions come with such force, they often are fatal for people who are there.
And as you mentioned, it's not always just the house that is the concern, it's the ones that are nearby. Or even you heard one person a block away heard the glass that shattered there because of the ripple effects of something as powerful as an explosion. So we will continue to stay on top of this and give you any new information as we get it here into our newsroom. So make sure you stay with WCNC+.
All right, let's go ahead and get a check of your forecast right now with Chris.
Yeah, a lot going on. What's happening this morning? It was a busy traffic morning. Weather's actually really behaving right now. Beautiful. Lots of sunshine, but that's not going to be the case about in the next 24 to 36 hours as storms start to roll in. We need the rain desperately, but we're going to see a lot all at once, which will lead to some localized flooding. We have 82 to 84 degrees for a high today, 85 right around Lancaster. And I think, Sherrod, you have a good chance of getting up to 87. Reason why is I think that you're going to be storm-free for the most part. There will be a chance for a few isolated showers and storms here around the Charlotte area, but really it's the further northwest you go that we're going to have a better chance for that. If you're going out this evening, I think it's the best chance for rain really late evening and through the overnight on and off, but we are also going to have a cloudier end to the day. Now let's talk about our rain chances. They're isolated today. That means that only about 20% of us are going to see rain across our entire area. That's 22 counties in North Carolina and South Carolina, covering from the mountains to the sandhills. But then then it's later tonight that I think rain becomes scattered, but tomorrow rain is likely in actually 3 technical batches and then widespread by your Saturday night. So let's talk about the severe potential to the northwest of Charlotte. So anyone in the yellow, you have a low chance for severe storms. So it means any storm, if it does come to fruition, could pop up at least a statement saying that you could have wind gusts up to about 40 miles per hour, but I think it's a better chance for the northwest that you go. There's a little bit more instability in the driving forces there, and then a low chance across our Saturday for all of us, and there's a slightest chance that we could per chance for our western side of our viewing area be upgraded into a medium threshold. So our futurecast, you can see some scattered rain starting to pop up right here around Morganton as early as 3 o'clock. I think really 3 to 8 o'clock is the best chance for the stronger storms, but I'm gonna step out of the way. You're going to notice that there's not too much activity really outside of a line really from Asheville up to Taylorsville. There is a little activity that there's a weak trough down near Cheraw, so Chesterfield County, you might get nipped by a shower a little bit later on, but Charlotte's kind of stuck in between. That might be a case and scenario that we see a little bit later on in the weekend, and I'm not complaining. We'll have this batch of rain that arrives during the morning, so a lot of us might be sleeping when this arrives, and then we start to dry out and clear out for your Saturday morning. Saturday morning still going to feel steamy and still feel the moisture in the air, but at least we're not seeing really any active widespread rain. Our futurecast rainfall is also showing the highest rain rates really late on Saturday. I think some storms could provide up to 1 inch of rain during your Saturday afternoon, but they jump up to about 1 to 2+ inches. Some areas might even have 3 inches when this is all said and done, just for the amount of rain. This is that training rain, one rain shower after another. So that's why we're really going weather alert for the scattered storms and the flooding, the lightning potential as we work our way through the evening. And during the afternoon, I think there's a chance for a little bit of hail and then some gusty winds as well from the multiple rounds that we have rolling with this line. So taking a closer look, we're going to, sorry about that, we're going to see some scattered storms starting to develop really between about 1 and 4 o'clock here, either side of the I-44 corridor. And then I think that there's a chance that these could cluster together, maybe into a loose line. That's a good chance for maybe some severe thunderstorm warnings heading into the early evening. But then the final round of rain that's going to bring the heaviest doesn't arrive really until the late evening, maybe even after midnight. So if this scenario comes to fruition, we're actually going to have a nice little clearing, little dry spell. I still think it feels like it's going to rain. Maybe you have some mist and drizzle in between, but the heaviest rain that would for sure shut down a concert or any sort of outdoor activity, this model has it arriving closer to midnight, which is just in time to not ruin 2 big concerts across the area. So fingers crossed it comes to fruition. I'll have a closer look at the Love and Life forecast, though, coming up here shortly. But first, we have Hit the Roads with Destiny Richards. How's things looking?
Yeah, things are looking very busy all across the map, but this is I-85 in Gaston County. This is near Belmont, Mount Holly, around the NC 273 exit, and traffic is backed up yet again because there is a new crash on the northbound side. So we're seeing a lot of congestion here. We also have some incidents on I-485, both north and south, and then we have that house fire as well that is causing a closure in the Dilworth area. So we'll start with that. Just be aware that this is happening at East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle, so near Freedom Park, and the closure is between 2 major streets. That's Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive. So if you need to get to Uptown or you need to get down south, just be aware that these are the main streets you want to take. Don't cut through. There will be a lot of emergency personnel in the area. Moving on to some of the other incidents going on this morning, we do have this incident that is fresh, brand new on I-85 northbound. It's really been a mess all day long. I-85 northbound at mile marker 25 near McAdenville. The left lane is closed just 1 mile before exit 26. And then this I-85 northbound incident has been on the map since 6:30 this morning. It's likely that both are still in the area, but that one's been around longer than the other one. I-85 northbound at NC 273. And then we also have I-45 outer loop. This is actually east of Old Statesville Road, and traffic is backed up to Prosperity Church Road. Drive safely out there.
Thanks, Destiny. 7:41 and happening today. We are just hours away from the Love and Life kickoff in Uptown this weekend. Charlotte businesses are hoping to feel the positive effects from the festival.
It's expected to bring in thousands of visitors to Queen City, which could mean significant economic boost for local establishments. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris now live for us in Uptown this morning. And Miles, you spoke to some business owners about how they are getting ready.
Yeah, they're getting ready here, Ben and Lisa. Look, organizers with Love and Life, the music festival, they're not the only ones getting set for what's expected to be a very busy weekend, especially in this uptown area. Local businesses, especially those inside that 7th Street Market, they are getting set for what could be their biggest business boom so far this year.
It's gonna be a little, crazy.
Love and Life is taking over uptown this weekend. Just across the street from Center Stage is the 7th Street Market, which is home to more than a dozen local vendors, including Montebello. Owner Raffaele Patrizzi says that his staff is getting prepared for this weekend as they expect a huge crowd.
Pretty much all week that we are preparing, we are making 4 times more the pasta that we usually do on the weekend, but we are doing 4 times more the pasta of the weekend in each of the day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
He's hopeful to leave a strong first impression with every customer.
How they enjoy phenomenal musicians, they come here and they enjoy some very good and healthy food, healthy environment and safe environment, and they just have a wonderful and enjoyable weekend.
Ben and Leaf's Love and Life organizers, they're expecting to see about 20,000 people come for each day of that festival. And when we talk about the convenience of where 7th Street Market is when it comes to all of that Love and Life Music Festival, I mean, just right behind me here, that's where the 7th Street Market is. Then you have the Cat's Blue Line right in front of that as well. And then just to the right of that here, that is where First Ward Park is, where all of those happenings when it comes to that music festival is taking place this weekend. So certainly a lot of things looking forward to taking place this weekend, but also, again, could be one of the most profitable weekends for those businesses and those vendors inside the 7th Street Market as well. Lisa and Ben.
And I'm imagining they may have, I don't know, extended hours or,
Sure,
anticipating all the people who are going to be passing by. That's the foot traffic that you want coming in.
Yeah, absolutely there, guys. Yeah, we talked about it, actually. That owner there, he actually mentioned that they did adjust their hours. They've been working around the clock, starting earlier, working later as well. Again, gearing up for expected that heavy foot traffic that's going to be around this area this weekend.
You don't often get weekends like this.
No, take advantage of it.
That's right, that's right. All right, Miles, thanks. Weather, as we've mentioned, could be an issue for the festival tomorrow. Let's bring in Chris on how's it looking.
Okay, so I showed you a model earlier that was my most optimistic version. This one is a little less on the optimistic side, but it's still not too bad. So let's go through our concert cast, and it brings us right to Benson Boone. Now, of course, there's a lot of other artists that are coming before 2 o'clock. I'm just going to say there's a slight chance that an isolated shower could pass Love and Life at that point. But I really think that you're just going to see increasing clouds through the big headliners today. That's Benson Boone, Gwen Stefani, and then after this you might see some rain heading into the early morning hours, so you might have a wet stage greeting tomorrow. Now tomorrow during the afternoon I'm seeing scattered showers and storms all across the area. This model actually doesn't have them passing by the early to mid-afternoon, but another one I showed you pretty much showed a constant batch of rain and storms for the entirety of pretty much of the afternoon right around the 277 loop. So PD Pablo right now, this one's showing, oh, it's not going to rain. I think right at the end of it, close to that 5 o'clock, that's showing a better option for some of those isolated showers and storms. Saw a quick little pop up of that yellow and that red. I think that it's a good chance it's going to be some sort of downpour mid to late afternoon heading into the early evening. Now 7 o'clock brings us up to Luda time. At this point, that's going to be 2 different scenarios. I think you have scattered storms during the afternoon, and then you're going to have a cluster of storms that moves through during the early evening. At this point, Luda's not going to care. He's going to still have things roll on. You have Pitbull right after that, and then you have Weezer. All of these could potentially promote rain. So the best case scenario that I showed you before, this system passes, so maybe it's right before Luda starts around 7 o'clock, but then once you get to 8 o'clock Pitbull, well, then you won't have to worry as much. But then I think that really the heaviest rain regardless is going to arrive really by the late evening after about 11 o'clock. That's where we're seeing a lot of the yellows that come by. We could have rain rates over an inch per hour, and then it starts to clear out as we work our way into tomorrow morning, and then by the afternoon we should see some sunshine. Check out these rain totals by the time this is all said and done. Most of these are all happening Saturday afternoon through early Sunday morning. That's up to 2 inches plus, all depending. So really, closing statement, what I'm saying, today you have a good chance of being okay, but starting on Saturday afternoon you have constant showers and storms in the area. area. Even if there's not a storm that's technically right over the concert, if you hear thunder, it's going to cause some delays and people might have to take cover. So keep that in mind. And it's a day that you definitely want to have the rain jacket at least by your side, because it is also going to be pretty warm and steamy for the day.
All right, thanks so much, Chris. We want to get back now to that breaking news in Dilworth, a home destroyed in a fire and possible explosion this morning. Our Richard DeVate is at that scene. He says that we are expecting to get an update from Charlotte fire officials in about 30 minutes. When we get that, we of course bring that to you right here on WCNC Plus. But again, these are some live pictures now. This is on Lombardi Circle in Dilworth. A house fire explosion there early this morning. We see a number of Charlotte firefighters on the scene. Still a very active situation. A number of neighbors, onlookers, just came out to see what had happened. Some of them reporting to Richard they heard a loud boom, and then they came to see what happened to find that home destroyed on Lombardi Circle.
As of right now, we're being told there are no injuries reported by this. The house, clearly, obviously, not much left of it, but some nearby homes damaged. According to Richard, windows were blown out of some of those nearby homes, giving you an idea of just the impact that happens when an explosion happens like that in a tight-knit neighborhood. Expecting more from Richard and an update from that public information officer from the fire department. That's going to be coming up, as Lisa said, just in the next 30 minutes or so. Also, we've got some video we're trying to turn around from Richard of the actual flames when the house was still burning. I believe he got that from a neighbor. We're turning that around right now in the newsroom. We're going to have that for you here on the stream coming up just momentarily. Now to an update on a deadly fire in an apartment complex in Kings Mountain. City officials now revealing that the building did not have sprinklers. The fire destroyed multiple units at the Green Tree Apartments Monday. 45-year-old Evelyn Blackney died.
The city tells WCNC Charlotte that the building did not have any sprinklers, and due to the severity of that, they could not confirm if the unit had smoke detectors.
But they told us adjacent buildings did have those. It made us wonder, are smoke detectors and sprinklers required here in North Carolina? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
To verify, we are using these sources: the American Apartment Owners Association, North Carolina Law, and the North Carolina Department of Insurance. The first question: do North Carolina apartments need to provide smoke detectors? According to the American Apartment Owners Association, NC landlord-tenant laws require landlords in North Carolina rental properties to provide smoke detectors and at least one carbon monoxide detector. NC law states since December 2012, when installing new smoke alarms or replacing an existing alarm, it needs to be replaced with a 10-year lithium battery smoke alarm. So we can verify that yes, apartment complexes in North Carolina do need to provide a smoke detector. The next question: do North Carolina apartments need to provide sprinkler systems? According to the NC Department of Insurance, since 2002, all new apartments that were more than 2 stories tall or had more than 16 units were required to have a sprinkler system. Then in 2006, state laws were broadened to require all new apartments were required to have automatic sprinkler systems. If an apartment was built before the requirement, they are grandfathered in and don't need to have sprinklers, but some kind of fire protection like a firewall or fire separation wall. So we can verify that yes, sprinklers are now required in apartments. However, some apartments that were built before the early 2000s are not required to have sprinklers, but must have some other types of fire protection in place. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Folks, if you have something you'd like us to verify, all you got to do, email us at verify@wcnc.com. We are getting now new reaction this morning after last night's community meeting on Charlotte's billion-dollar transit plan. We previewed it for yesterday right here on WCNC Plus. The town hall hosted by the Charlotte Black Voter Project and featured speakers like the mayor and Congresswoman Alma Adams. One of the biggest questions for the community: how a proposed 1-cent sales tax will impact their lives. This is what the mayor had to say.
It is a sales tax, and that means everybody that buys something, but not everything, because I think that we've had some conversations about, that it is really not going to be on food, it's not going to be on housing, it's not going to be on medicine, it's not on medical services, it's not on electricity, it's not on gas or telephones. So that while you're buying something, generally it's going to be something that we're going to be able to use with Otherwise, you will have a pay of a penny sales tax. But in addition to that, almost 300 people come into the city on a daily basis, and they will be paying for the tax that they use, that they don't really have a stake in this, because they're just coming in, tourism, coming into work, and they will have the opportunity to help us carry that amount of funding all the way through.
Now, those same transit plans discussed in last night's meeting are also raising concerns in the Matthews community.
A push to extend the Silver Line light rail to Matthews fell apart. Instead, the plan now is to add a bus line. Matthews Mayor John Higdon is a vocal opponent of the new plan. He tells us he proposed adding 5% more funding to get a light rail, but leaders told him to just stick to the playbook.
Every town in the county is getting what they want except for Matthews.
We don't want the whole pie, we want a piece of the pie, and some of our colleagues are getting pie a la mode with, whipped cream and a cherry, and we're asked to be satisfied with the crumbs.
The Silver Line was originally supposed to run from East Charlotte to Matthews, but it was cut back in a revised transit plan, with the line ending at Bojangles Coliseum. Mayor Higdon says he will continue to fight until the light rail is built.
And this morning we are tracking, several incidents across our area. This is a look again at I-85 northbound and southbound traffic in Gaston County. I keep showing this camera because the incidents on the northbound side just are not stopping. There's a lot of congestion going on. That usually happens at this time of the day, but there are actual crashes that are causing this now, and it is not lightening up. As we can see, a lot of traffic going into the Charlotte area this time, and then we also have a lot of traffic going into the uptown area, South Charlotte from South Carolina, and then I-485. There's some things going on as well. So let's get all to it. I do want to start though with this house fire, just really quickly. Again, this is at East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle. The major streets that this closure is between Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive. So if you're heading in and out of the uptown area in Dilworth, just be aware that you want to keep going on these streets and get around East Boulevard however you can. Going into these other crashes now, this is here at I-85 northbound. I'll get out of the way so you can see this long, big text. I-85 northbound at mile marker 25, so near McAdenville. This is the left lane that is closed 1 mile before exit 26, so lots of delays in there. And then we also have a crash that's been in the area since 6:30 this morning. Have not gotten an update on it, but as you can see, I have not removed it because there are just so many delays all across the map on I-85 northbound. So the best way you can get around this, you better find it.
All right, thanks so much, Destiny. All eyes are on the Sistine Chapel after Vatican workers hoisted a new chimney onto the roof today. The rust-colored pipe will send the world a simple message next week. Starting Wednesday, cardinals will gather in secret to choose the next pope. Black smoke means no decision. White smoke means the next pope has been chosen.
We're going to take a quick break as we take a live look right now over Uptown. Coming up in just about 90 seconds, a latest on that breaking news out of Dilworth, the house explosion. Richard Devane currently speaking to firefighters. Also, we've got some stunning video of the fire there at the house as it happened. We just got from neighbors. That's going to come your way coming up in about a minute. Also going to have another check of that forecast on your Friday morning. Come your way right here on WCNC Plus. Live now at 7:56. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We are following breaking news in Dilworth right now, where fire crews are on the scene of a house fire and explosion. It's at Lombardi Circle, just off East Boulevard. This is a live look at the scene. Now our crews at the scene tell us this house was up for sale. The good news we know is that no one was injured. We do know a couple of nearby homes were damaged by this explosion, but again, everyone made it out safely. No one in that house at the time. We're going to have a live report coming over on WCNC Plus at 8 o'clock.
Let's get right to it for your Friday. High temperatures reaching the lower to the mid 80s across the area. Best chance for rain. Could see a spotty shower during the afternoon, but it's up here, right in the mountains, from Morganton to Hickory. Up in the mountains, really between about 4 and 8 o'clock. Could become widespread heading into the middle of the evening before dying out. Then we get ready for round two. Round two will mainly be in the middle of the afternoon tomorrow, but then we'll also see several pulses heading into the evening. The heaviest rain running through the overnight. Destiny?
Yeah, that house fire we've been talking about is near Freedom Park, East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle. Just be aware that the major streets surrounding this closure are Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive. So traffic is starting to congest in the area for people trying to get around that. So take your time and take it easy. We'll be right back in 30 minutes, but join us right now on WCNC Plus.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We continue to follow that breaking news happening right now in Dilworth, where crews are on the scene of a large house fire and explosion.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane been talking to crews and witnesses at the scene. So, Richard, give us an idea right now. Is the danger now behind us?
Yeah, that would be the apparent statement, Ben. The danger seems to be over for the time being. We want to make sure that they would not let us be standing this close to this house. So step out of the way, let you take a look right now.
And of course, streaming live, that sometimes happen. We hopefully will get back to Richard for the latest on that. But we've been telling you this was a house fire and explosion there on Lombardi Circle in Dilworth. We know that Richard spoke with some neighbors trying to get more information. Many of them reporting that they heard a loud boom, walked out of their homes to see what happened to find that house destroyed.
Let's take a listen.
We were sleeping. It was about 6:14 in the morning, and we heard a big explosion, and we didn't know what was happening. So we walked outside, and we see all the smoke. So we drive over here, and the house is in flames. So it looks like it was for sale. So yeah, I don't know if anyone was in there, but the house next door kind of got whiff of the flames, and I think the people were outside. So That's all we know so far.
What was going through your mind when did you hear it?
It was scary. We thought someone was in our house because it was so loud, and we walked outside.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It shook the house?
Yeah, the noise shook our house. We live a couple streets over and we heard it.
We live right across this greenway, so not too far from us, but it was loud.
It was loud?
Yeah.
Okay, the firefighters came. Is it out, or what's the situation now?
Yeah, they got there quick and they're responding to it. They got the water going, so looks like they're making progress.
And as we come back here, we can tell you basically that's the situation that happened. I'll step out of the way again, let you take a look. And the good news is that the people in either side of that house were able to get out without any major injuries. We do have reports of glass shattering at least 3 and 4 houses away from where this explosion happened. Medic was on the scene. They left without taking anyone away. We are waiting for the PIO to speak. They did come to us right before our last live shot ended, and they told us that they would speak to us in 30 minutes. So we're still waiting for them. They want to get as much information so that we can give you the accurate information and up-to-date information as quickly as possible. But they say they want to make sure, more so than quickly, they get you accurate information, exactly what they can. So that's the situation right here. We're in Dilworth on Lombardi Circle, and I see them walking our direction. So we may have something in just a short period of time. Of course, whatever we get, we'll provide it for you here as well on all of our platforms. I'm right here in Dilworth. This is Richard Evang. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
Step away if you have to, but for our viewers right now on WCNC Plus, they just saw some of the footage you got from neighbors of the flames. Explain what that neighbor who captured that said to you.
Yeah, every single person I spoke to talked about hearing, and not only hearing, Ben, but feeling the intensity of that explosion. They said they heard something and felt it. One person telling me about the glass exploding in her bedroom, which is just diagonally from where I'm standing right here. She actually felt glass coming into her bedroom and felt that glass hitting her. That's how she's 4 houses away from where this actually happened. Other neighbors saying they heard the loud explosion. That's when they knew something happened. One person said they thought a tree had fallen on their house, but when they went out and then they saw that house engulfed in flames, they knew something had happened. They started running out, looking for neighbors, making sure that everyone was okay. And as I've been out here this morning, I've heard neighbors referring to each other first name basis. You know, is this person okay? Is this person? I saw this person. I saw that person. That lets you know how close-knit this neighborhood is. Everybody checking on everybody else, making sure everyone is okay. So we are again waiting for an update. When we get an update, we'll let you guys know. But a close-knit neighborhood. The good news so far is we have not heard any reports of any serious injuries. Of course, when we get any confirmed information from fire department, from police, we'll let you know.
And we're just looking at those intense flames from the neighbor who shared that video with you. I imagine he had to get out very quickly to be able to record that video. Again,
yeah.
So I didn't want to interrupt you, Richard, but again, just looking at that video, knowing the neighbors had to, one, hear the noise and then be able to react and get out of their homes very quickly. And then the next concern, of course, checking on other people who live nearby.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, when you see something like that, your first thought is safety. You want to be safe, and you think of your neighbors who might be inside that house. And let me tell you like this, it went up, and I know the first thought is making sure your neighbors are safe, making sure you're safe. And then the fire went on for a few moments, so you do have time to then pull out your phone. So I'm sure that people did not pull out their phone right away and start shooting. They probably waited a few moments, making sure that everybody was safe. So that's how long that fire went on. And that's when the fire department came and was able to put it out. So people didn't just grab their phones and start shooting right away. As a matter of fact, as you look, some of that video that we got was actually from behind those fire trucks. The vantage point that you see is actually from across the street, and pretty much from this whole area. They walked up and down, took pictures and videos, and that's where we got it from. Actually, two of the pictures we got that we were given permission to use in social media. I've tweeted them out already. Two of the pictures were given to us by a couple gentlemen whose yard I'm standing in front of right now, and they said they didn't want anybody any credit for them, but they were standing out here. They came out afterwards, and it was still going after they had checked on their neighbors. So that's pretty much the situation right here. A lot of neighbors happy that no one seriously injured. Of course, now everyone is just waiting to see what the cause of this was, and they're waiting like we are to get that information from the fire department.
As Richard can tell you, where he's standing right now, a stone's throw from the Atrium Health campus, not much further from Freedom Park, just about a block and a half away where you are, about 2 blocks from a lot of the restaurants on East Boulevard. So aside from even the families that live on Lombardi Circle, there's a lot of things very close nearby that could have been impacted by an explosion like this. All right, Richard, keep us posted. I know you're going to hear more from people in just a second, so we'll carry that live on WCNC Plus just as soon as it happens. Richard, thank you.
All right, let's get a check of our traffic now. And Destiny, I know you've been looking at the situation traffic-wise in this area here in Dilworth.
That's right. We're definitely seeing traffic kind of pick up on South King Street and as well as Kenilworth. Scott Avenue turns into Kenilworth up a little bit higher there. And this is the closure. It is between Scott Avenue and South Kings Drive. This closure isn't going away anytime soon. As you can see, very much still an active scene on East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle. So just take care, especially as emergency crews are in the area and as they come and go from this scene this morning. Moving on to some of the other crashes in our area. I-85 northbound continues to be horrible, but I-85 northbound at mile marker 25, this accident has cleared. It is, I'll say, clearing because there's still a lot of backups in this area. The left lane that was closed just 1 mile before exit 26 is now open, but traffic is still slow in the area because this lingering accident from 6:30 this morning has the shoulder block now. That's a sign of improvement, but as you can see, still a lot of backups just all the way across here from Mecklenburg County, going all the way into Mecklenburg County, back into Gaston County. So just be aware this morning that I-85 northbound is just not the place to be if you don't have to be. Take a workaround. We also have some improvements on this crash on I-45 Outer Loop in North Charlotte. It's just east of Old Statesville Road. It's actually at mile marker 24. The shoulder is blocked now. So another crash that's been moved into the shoulder, but still backups all the way to Prosperity Church Road. One new accident that we're following is causing a little bit of a backup there. Kind of have an overlap of the icons, but Billy Graham Parkway southbound at Boyer Street, traffic is backed up to I-85.
Thanks a lot, Destiny. Well, what's going on around town? Well, it's a gorgeous start of the day. Check this out. Monroe, you're doing your thing. This camera's on top of the Government Center. It's right here across our Mr. Sparky Carolina Camera Network. This is the best part of the day. It's a little sticky out there, but hey, we're getting into May, so soon we're going to be using words like muggy, humid, and oh no, it is way too humid outside. And today is actually going to be a decent day for the Charlotte area. We will have a slight heat index throughout the morning and the afternoon. Notice noon, 80 feels like 82, 83 feeling like 84. Typically, dew points come down a little bit during the afternoon, so that's always good news. And we will see more clouds develop through the afternoon as well. But the first part of the day, don't worry about it. There's a slight chance for a shower or storm to pop up, I would say really after 2 o'clock. Most of Charlotte stays dry. The further northwest you go, not as much. That's why it's going to be a little bit cooler because I think we see the clouds there first, where our best rain chances really increase each time period. So we don't just have daytime rain chances, we also have overnight rain chances. So today, isolated. Tonight, scattered. Tomorrow, likely. That's a 60 to 70%, by the way, whenever you see it on our map. And widespread, I mean, it's pretty much everyone's going to see it by Saturday night. And I'm talking about late evening heading into the early morning hours. We could see a quick 1 to 2 inches of rain. So our severe threats really start around Gastonia up to Hickory, but it's this area in orange that I'm keeping the closest eye on. It's still been really a struggle trying to get rain really past the I-77 corridor. That's not going to be the case once a front arrives heading into Saturday. But what you just saw was that low potential for a severe storm really tomorrow. And it's the entire area that's going to see that. So as that system shifts off towards the east, that's where we can all expect a chance for a strong storm. But I think really the heavy rain is going to be the main story with some of that dangerous lightning, especially with how many events that we have outside. Today, we see clouds increase. So it's a cloudier end of the day. Right in this zone, I'm keeping an eye right through here. That's where I think we have the best chance, not just for a severe storm, but storms in general. Because I'm going to step out of the way. You don't need to see my mug. You're going to see much more activity to the northwest between Morganton, Taylorsville, and Boone, kind of in that triangle. Yeah, you can see a few isolated rain showers. It actually seems a little bit more prevalent across Richmond and Chesterfield County. The reason, there's a little weak trough there that's driving things up. So I'm not saying that Charlotte won't see a storm, but I'm not saying you will. I think it's a very low chance through the middle section of this map that we have a passing storm today. If you do, it's not a big deal. You might have a quick little burst of rain, but it should last less than an hour. All of us overnight tonight have a better chance for this rain to pass us, so it could be a wet road or a wet stage, since we are talking about concerts, by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, I think, is also our best time period. It's going to be a steamy morning. Overall mix of cloud and sunshine. I think we will break open a little bit of sunshine here and there, but we're opening up our weather alert window by about 1 p.m. So it's a weather alert day tomorrow for multiple reasons. I think number one, lightning, because how many people are going to be outside? Number two, heavy rain, but we also are under that low risk for severe storms. I'm not discounting it. That map is provided by the Storm Prediction Center. Truly, I think that if we see a storm, it's going to be in mid to late afternoon heading into the early evening. Most of the heavier rain, I think, is going to arrive so far after sunset that it's not going to be unstable enough that it's going to be a big severe weather event, but the western zone still could see something. But look at these rain totals, up to about 2 inches of rain when all is said and done. And our severe weather risk mainly pinning that we have a low chance for some isolated large hail or just hail in general. That usually will come from an individual cell about mid to late afternoon, and then some gustier winds, I think, are a little bit more likely late afternoon heading into the early evening. So we've been talking about our concert cast. Right now it looks like you're going to be okay for this coming evening. If you see rain later on this evening, I think it's really kind of unlucky at this point. It's really looking to be clear in that aspect. And then it could be a wet start to tomorrow, as I mentioned. But then Saturday, hey, I'm just going to roll real quick. PD Pablo, bringing up Ludacris to around Pitbull. There's on and off rain at this point. So don't be disappointed if you have a downpour. I think it's one of those poncho in a pocket type of scenarios. And I think the heaviest rain is going to arrive after the concert is over. But anytime during this period, you will have a chance for some lightning that is going to delay that activity. So be advised, you just need to be weather aware for your Saturday. That's why we have this icon for half the map. We'll have that rain linger into your Monday. We start to clear out, more sunshine for the afternoon, and then heading next week, we're dry, at least until Thursday or so. So take care, stay safe.
Happening today, the second annual Love and Life Music Festival returns to Uptown. As you heard Chris say, thousands are expected to pack First Ward Park this weekend to see acts like Gwen Stefani, Pitbull, and Dave Matthews Band. But before that fun can really start, some reminders for those heading to Uptown. Love and Life will have a clear bag policy in place, and road closures are already in effect this morning. That includes all streets in the immediate area of the festival. Officials tell us the roads will reopen next Tuesday before rush hour.
Yeah, that's right. It really won't be widespread closures. This is the proximity of where the festival is compared to the center of Uptown. So you'll be fine as long as you're not around First Ward Park. So mainly you'll have numbered streets that are going to be closed between North Caldwell Street and the light rail tracks. And then the closures have extended from last year. Instead of just being between 7th and 9th, it's actually going to be between 9th and 5th Streets. So all the way near the Spectrum Center. So just be aware of that. Around the Spectrum Center, it's going to be busy, and then all the way to 9th Street. Not only for event setup, but also all the foot traffic from all the folks who are walking there, perhaps coming from their cars because they've parked, or staying at the hotels in the Uptown area. So here is the breakdown. 7th, 8th, and 9th Streets will be closed between Caldwell and the light tracks, and then Brevard Street between 5th and 9th Streets, and then Caldwell Street between 5th and 9th Streets. So just be aware of that, and you can see on some of the streets surrounding it, that's going to be your best spot to get around this. College Street is a good place, and then also North Davidson. That's your best bet. So don't get caught up in this. Take notes and check our website for more information.
Of course, WCNC Charlotte has you covered on all things Love and Life this weekend, from safety efforts to the road closures and the forecast. To find what you need, just download the WCNC Charlotte app. It is free in your app store.
8:16 right now here on WCNC Plus. And if you are just now streaming with us right now, we are following breaking news this morning out of Dilworth, where fire crews are on the scene of a house explosion. This is happening on Lombardi Circle, just about a block off East Boulevard. What you're looking at right now, live pictures there from what is an active scene, still smoke coming out from what remains of that house. We do know that house up for sale at the time, and this video right here, what you look right now, captured by neighbors there just moments after the fire started, around 6:15 this morning. We've been following this breaking news for you on WCNC Plus for the better part of the last 90 minutes. As of right now, no one is believed to be injured. The house appears to be completely just decimated. Nearby homes, though, also damaged from the explosion. People telling us that the windows in some of their homes were actually just bursting because of the force from the impact of that explosion. We're expecting an update from fire crews there on scene momentarily. Our Richard Devane there speaking to folks. As soon as that happens, we'll bring it to you live right here on WCNC Plus. Now to live pictures right now over the White House, where there has been another shakeup in the Trump administration. The president nominating Mike Waltz as the new UN ambassador. It comes as Waltz is at the center of a Signal group chat leak back in March. NBC's Garrett Hake has more.
Just 102 days into his second term, President Trump with his first senior staff shakeup, removing National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, announcing he's nominating Waltz to become ambassador to the United Nations instead. Posting, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. I know he will do the same in his new role. The president tapping Secretary of State Marco Rubio to pick up Waltz's duties on an interim basis.
Mr. President, why now?
The decision to reassign Waltz part of the ongoing fallout after an embarrassing mishap when Waltz mistakenly added a reporter to a group chat on the encrypted app Signal, where sensitive plans about strikes against the Houthis were discussed. Waltz later took responsibility for the episode.
It's embarrassing, yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Was there a mistake? Absolutely. We're going to improve it. We're going to fix it.
President Trump publicly supported it.
That man is a very good man right there that you criticize so strongly. He's a very good man, and he will continue to do a good job.
The president at the time telling me in a phone interview he thought Waltz had, quote, learned a lesson. But Waltz remained on shaky ground. When asked about Waltz again last week, the president saying only, quote, Waltz is fine. I mean, he's here. During his first term, President Trump cycled through 4 national security advisors. Tonight, Democrats are calling for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who was also on the Signal chat, to be removed.
The national security advisor is out. He's the first person to leave. He will certainly not be the last.
Vice President Vance was asked about the former Green Beret and Florida congressman.
I like Mike. I think he's a great guy. He's got the trust of both me and the president. But we also thought that he'd make a better UN ambassador.
Well, a bill making its way through the North Carolina General Assembly could mean a big shakeup for how we pay for our prescriptions. A lot believe it was going to lower costs, but others aren't so sure. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay spoke with experts on both sides about what this could mean for your local pharmacy.
The bill would limit money that goes to the middlemen between insurers and pharmacists. Advocates hope this will help keep prices fair, especially for independent pharmacies like this one. But I spoke with a critic who says it could make prices higher.
Avoiding sticker shock at the counter is personal for Dr. Martez Prince.
We've been here for 9 years, and we see the industry as a roller coaster.
He runs Premier Pharmacy and Wellness Center in East Charlotte and says the big dips come from the middlemen, pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs.
They aren't even covering the cost of a medication, so that's leaving the pharmacy in a negative.
With House Bill 163, he says that could get easier. It would crack down on PBMs, banning spread pricing, where they charge insurers more than they pay pharmacies, and requiring them to pass drug discounts on to patients. But critics warn it could backfire.
North Carolina is already listed as one of the highest cost healthcare states in the country. We think this bill would exacerbate that problem.
Connor Rose is the North Carolina expert from PCMA, a trade group that represents PBMs. He says similar laws haven't worked in other states, and this one could take choices away from employers and cost consumers even more.
If you have a high deductible health plan, you are going to be, and you haven't hit your deductible, you're going to be responsible potentially for that $10 dispensing fee out of your pocket.
The bill has cleared the House with bipartisan support.
We're on the state health plan.
But some representatives noted it doesn't affect the state health plan.
I do have concerns and would love to continue that conversation and that fight, but I think it's a different fight for a different day.
To Rose, that's a red flag. To Dr. Prince, it's a step toward fairness and a way to let consumers choose their pharmacy without penalties or limits.
Consumers deserve this.
Both sides say they want lower prices, but the debate comes down to how to get there.
The bill is currently in the Senate. It's already passed its first reading and now goes to committee. In East Charlotte, Julie Kay, WCNC Charlotte.
With the Real ID deadline now just days away, there will be a passport fair in Stanfield tomorrow. First-time applicants will be able to apply in person with no appointment needed. It's happening at the Stanfield Post Office from noon to 4. Take a look at the screen. Here's what you will need to apply: proof of U.S. citizenship, a photo ID with copies, a passport photo, and payment. Now, you won't get your passport on site, but it will be mailed to you. This is the only event like this in the state for the next 2 months.
A lot going on this weekend in the Charlotte area, so what to do this weekend? One big event is Cinco de Mayo Festival. It happens Saturday at Symphony Park at South Park from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Lots of great music, delicious Mexican food, arts and crafts. There's going to be something for the entire family. So this weekend, Saturday at Symphony Park, it's a Cinco de Mayo Festival. I'm Larry Sprinkle. That's what's happening this weekend.
8:22 right now on WCNC Plus, and a tradition that dates back to 1939, the changing of the sign at Churchill Downs, where the new date and Derby number are posted for all to see. Of course, we're talking about the Kentucky Derby here. It marks the official start to Derby season. Ryan Schlonsky introduces us to the man who's been changing those signs for nearly 3 decades.
Before the cheering fans, the thundering hooves, the traffic, the hustle and bustle, even before the pomp and circumstance of the pre-Derby events like Thunder, the parade, the galas. There's an annual tradition that dates back to 1939.
Yeah, it needs a little attention.
That officially marks the start of Kentucky Derby season at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, it's an honor, just to start off the Derby, kickoff. That's way everybody looks at it. It's ready. We're ready for Derby time when we're putting the sign change.
There's some fanfare, but not much, mostly track employees and a few local media outlets. But for the past 26 years, the man in charge of this ever-important job, changing the date and the Derby number, has been Todd Hurl.
A little easier to do on a lift than a ladder like I started doing when I started here.
Sure, the technology's improved from when he did it this way. But Hurl says he feels and sees the history from way up here every time he swaps the numbers on the old green and gold sign, situated right between the iconic twin spires, ready to greet the world on Derby Day.
The old structure of the slate, that's a real slate roof. And then seeing the old framing work of that they did probably way before I was born.
You can always find Hurl at the track working on parking signs, directional signage, sponsor signs. He's even earned himself a few nicknames over the years.
Yeah, the sign guy, yeah, that's that. Or, the backside.
We want to get back to that breaking news, this house explosion in Dilworth. We're hearing now from Charlotte fire officials. Let's listen in.
Within 2 minutes, first units arrived from Charlotte Fire, declared a working fire. Approximately an hour to an hour and 10 minutes later, the fire was brought under control. We can confirm there was one injury in a nearby structure. That person was evaluated on scene and released by medic. There was no other injuries at this time to report. The fire is under investigation and it remains a very active scene at this time.
Any idea if it was an explosion or not?
Fire communications did receive reports of explosions, and like I said, it's a very active scene. All those calls and everything will be under investigation.
Was there any difficulty putting out the fire in terms of getting water? I understand that water was water gotten from a nearby apartment complex. How did that work?
At this time, we were able to secure a patent water supply and extinguish the fire. Charlotte Fire trains on a daily basis for any type of problems that can occur. We don't train for everything to be perfect, so we were able to establish a water supply and extinguish the fire.
Bob, how long did it take for maybe you said this, I don't remember, but how long did it take to get the fire under control?
Approximately an hour to an hour and 10 minutes to get the fire under control.
And approximately how many firefighters took part?
Approximately 60 firefighters were brought to the scene during, it was a second alarm fire.
And forgive me if you already said this, you said the fire affected a nearby structure?
Yes, it affected one of the exposure structures, and that fire was placed under control very quickly by units. Any other questions?
Cool.
Thank you much.
For viewers just now joining us right here on WCNC Charlotte, we've just got an update from firefighters there at the scene of this house explosion we've been telling you about. Is breaking news all morning long right here on WCNC, telling us it does appear there was at least one injury that happened, not a serious injury, and that was at a nearby home.
Correct, not the actual fire at the house there, but again, this happened. You heard them say it took about an hour to get those flames out, saying that they did receive reports of an explosion from neighbors in the area. We've been reporting earlier that this house was actually up for sale. This is on Lombardi Circle in Dilworth. Firefighters on that scene, a very active scene here all morning after that house fire there. Richard Devane, you actually see in the shot there on the left of your screen, has been giving us live reports and updates. He's talked to a number of neighbors in the area. Those who heard this explosion felt it. Some say they could feel just the strength and magnitude of this in their homes. Of course, they rushed out to see exactly what was going on.
This is a busy part of Dilworth. Atrium Health's main campus just about a block away. Freedom Park about a block away. And the busy restaurants there on East Boulevard as well, about a block away. And the video you're looking at right now, those intense flames, this provided to WCNC Charlotte from a neighbor who captured this just moments after the fire started around 6:15 this morning. Richard Devane still there on scene. He's going to continue to talk to investigators as we learn more about this house explosion on Lombardi Circle. Continuing coverage happening right now, streaming over on WCNC Plus. Live now at 8:30 right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We are following that breaking news right now in Dilworth, where crews are on the scene of that large house fire that may have started with an explosion this morning.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane has been talking to crews there on scene. Richard, we just got an update from firefighters about 3 minutes ago.
I am too. I'm like...
Yeah, we did. They're still investigating what happened here. Not going as far as to say that this was definitely an explosion, but they are still investigating. I'll step out of the way, let you see. They're pretty much wrapping up the scene here. They're just going about the point of making sure that there are no hot spots or anything like this. They're going from what neighbors have said. About 6:16, they got a call of a possible explosion at this house right here in Dilworth. It just went up. They're saying they're investigating as a possible explosion. One of the folks in one of the houses adjacent to this house that went up, they actually took a person out of that house. That person was released. They're going to be okay. There was no one inside that place, that house that is just gone. Neighbors told us that they heard what sounded like a loud explosion. Then when they looked out, they saw the place engulfed in flames. Just shocking to a lot of neighbors to one moment be in their homes, the next moment see flames all up and shooting out of the sky. I was several blocks away when I saw the smoke billowing up in the air. When I came close to the scene here, spoke to a number of residents who told me what they saw, what they heard this morning. All of them reporting pretty much the same thing, that loud explosion followed by seeing that home engulfed in flames. Now, we did speak to the fire department. The assistant chief talked to us about basically what he knows right now. This is still an active investigation trying to determine exactly what caused this house to catch on fire. There was a second alarm fire from manpower. Had about 60 crew members out here battling this fire, which took about an hour to get under control. It's now under control. Of course, neighbors we spoke to report seeing this fire. I don't know if we have that interview that we spoke to some neighbors about. Do we have that interview? I don't know if we do or not. Okay. So we'll just tell you what most of them say. They just said that they heard that loud explosion. Then they saw the flames. Neighbors houses away report seeing glass break in their homes and other homes. People heard the shaking in the neighborhood. And we can tell you the good news in all of this, no loss of lives. So let's listen to what at least some folks that we spoke to had to say about what they heard right as this house seemed to explode.
We were sleeping. It was about 6:14 in the morning, and we heard a big explosion, and we didn't know what was happening. So we walked outside, and we see all the smoke. So we drive over here, and the house is in flames. So it looks like it was for sale. So yeah, I don't know if anyone was in there, but the house next door kind of got whiff of the flames, and I think the people were outside. So that's all we know so far.
What was going through your mind when did you hear it?
It was scary. We thought someone was in our house because it was so loud, and we walked outside.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It shook the house?
Yeah, the noise shook our house. We live a couple streets over, and we heard it.
We live right across this greenway, so not too far from us, but it was loud.
It was loud?
Yeah.
Okay, the firefighters came. Is it out, or what's the situation now?
Yeah, they got there quick, and they're responding to it. They got the water going, so looks like they're making progress.
I have never heard an explosion like that, and I've never seen a house engulfed in flames like that before. Like it seemed like instantly. Yeah, we're literally in our pajamas.
Yeah. But you can laugh a little bit because no one was in there apparently, right?
Yeah, everyone seems safe.
Everyone seems safe.
Yep. All the neighbors were out, so everyone was together. Yeah.
Yeah, and those neighbors were in a good mood because they knew what we've later learned, that no one was inside that house that exploded. No one, the people who were in the houses on either side were able to get out, and those broken windows and glass and other things did not seriously injure anyone. Of course, the fire department says this is an ongoing investigation into what caused this blast. This neighborhood, a lot of folks we spoke to more than just those ladies there. We spoke to a man who lives right across the street from this. He was telling me about hearing that loud bang. We spoke to people whose yards we're standing in. They heard it. They came out and saw. Both of these folks sharing videos and pictures with us about what they heard and what they saw, saying it was just unbelievable, just seeing the flames shoot up in the sky. I saw it from blocks away. The ending of the fire, as the firefighters were able to put this out from blocks away. And Ben, you were giving a kind of a description of the neighborhood. Just for perspective, I was at one of the parking decks used by the hospital over here, and that far away near Freedom Park's entrance, and I could actually still see the smoke as I was getting over here, and then getting closer, you could see the remnants of the flames as they were putting them out. So that's how big this was, and that's how much the neighbors were dealing with. And the good news again in all of this, no loss of life. Of course, we'll have much more on this throughout the day, but for now, right now, we're in Dilworth. This is Richard Evane. We'll send it back to you.
Richard, it's worth remembering, and I know I don't have to tell you this because you covered these things, while we're still learning about what exactly happened this morning. Some say it was an explosion by most neighbors' accounts.
Right.
We've covered these situations in the past. Just a few years ago, the house up in Mooresville, a few years before that, a house in Ballantyne, and often these sorts of things can prove to be fatal.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Ben. The house in Mooresville went up. It was the home owned by an NFL football player. His father passed in that house. Lost his life in that house. I know some of the people, some of the family members pretty well in that situation. So that was a tough one to talk about, yeah. And then, of course, before that, a few years before that, we had the situation in Ballantyne that, of course, we covered where there was a house explosion, and we watched as one person lost their life being trapped in the rubble in that particular house as they did rescue efforts to get one out, and unfortunately, the other person was not able to. So a lot of times we see things like this happen, and you can hold out hope for the best. In this situation, we can say that fortunately no loss of life. It could have been, as we often say, a lot worse, and anytime you can say that in this job, we're happy about that.
For sure, and of course the firefighter is going to have a lengthy investigation determining the cause of this fire or subsequent explosion, the reason that this happened. Absolutely. We know that you had to move for quite some time because, as you said, safety is the priority in situations like this, especially when you're talking about explosions and the ripple effects, and not just the houses there, but as you mentioned, the very busy part of Dilworth there. So Richard, thank you so much for giving us that latest information.
All right, he's going to keep us posted on what's happening there, on what's a fluid situation. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get a check of your forecast because, Chris, unrelated to all this, we know it is a busy weekend here in the Queen City, and a lot of folks are keeping a close eye on that forecast.
On Monday, I was hoping that the biggest rain wouldn't arrive on Saturday, where we have everything, I feel like, happening from Rock Hill, strawberry festivals to multiple big-time concerts. Well, of course, the only day that we have a likely chance for rain is tomorrow, Saturday. Today, isolated showers and storms. I don't really think you're anticipating too much. Sunday looks to be the best day over the next three because storm chances very, very low. Likely going to see sunshine for the afternoon. But we have a few pieces on the board. And so oftentimes weather is like playing chess. What pieces are on the board? Which ones are the potential checkmates? Whenever you have a big time cold front off towards the west, driving into heat and humidity, that's going to lead to more storms. And we're already seeing that. Also, looking upstream is a good forecasting tool. We also got this little guy. That little dashed line, that's a trough that's dancing around, popping up from place to place. And once that's here tomorrow, that's going to trigger some showers and storms during the afternoon, heading into the evening. And it's this main batch over here that I think is going to be our big flood potential. Luckily, we haven't had days of rain, or else this could be a big time problem. But for today and tomorrow, our biggest risk is really lightning. The lightning risk today, I think the storms are so isolated, so not a lot of us are going to be impacted by this. But then by tomorrow, the numerous lightning that reports I think we're going to see from some of these storms is going to be a big problem for any outdoor events. And then gusty winds, flooding is also going to be an issue, and there's really an outside chance for a little bit of hail as well. So our severe weather risk really starts just northwest of Charlotte today. It's more of a moderate threat up in the mountains. And for tomorrow, it looks like it's mainly going to be just everyone has a low chance for severe storms. There is an outside chance that maybe the western side of the Carolinas, that this map could have a little bit of orange over here. So we could have an upgrade over to a slight risk. But as of right now, it looks like that is where the map is going to be. But our excessive rain impacts are also very high further off towards the west. We are anticipating that this screen is going to filter its way further off towards the east. So we do have a low risk for some flash flooding, first starting early on your Saturday and then ending Saturday night, heading across the Charlotte area. So here's a look at our futurecast. Starting with today, we see clouds increase through the day. Right now, it's beautiful. We have lots of sunshine, nice little sunny start to the day. After 3, 4 o'clock, we see our first signs of showers and storms. I think they become most numerous by the late afternoon, heading into the evening. That's where we see most of the activity. Do have a little bit of rain dancing down just east of us. That's that trough that I was talking about. Meanwhile, Charlotte's just sitting pretty right in the middle. That's great for any Friday evening plans. There's still a chance for an isolated shower or a storm, but very isolated, so that chances are, as one of my favorite movies would say, the odds are in our favor. We are looking off towards the west, though, for another chance for rain. That's going to quickly blast and die out heading into tomorrow morning. But now we're talking about the main event. That's going to be scattered storms, especially late Saturday with lightning and brief heavy rainfall. So this is really going to be poncho weather for you. A closer look at that. The one window of opportunity that we're looking at, this one right here, does show a little break in the action right around some of that concert time. So this is going to allow for some widespread rain, but just a little bit beforehand, I'm just going to talk to my producer, Trey. Sorry, I just want to backtrack this real quick for people. You see a lot of scattered storms starting to pop up as early as noon to 1 o'clock. So this is the time that you need to be weather aware. We have another blast that really ends the afternoon heading into the evening. That starts to form. This is going to be a better chance for severe thunderstorms, but the main event, the heaviest rain, looks to arrive right around midnight. So we do have some decent concert timing that really could help some people out. So fingers crossed that comes to fruition. Real quick for our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, you can see temperatures are a little bit cooler, but we're drying out for your Sunday, and then either side of 80 degrees through next week. Next chance for rain after the weekend, Thursday. Destiny, take it away.
Yeah, right now it is pretty busy out there. We are looking at I-77 south of Uptown this morning. It was stop and go traffic just south of Uptown, but right now we are seeing just slow traffic, so not quite stop and go. So a lot more people out on the roads this morning, getting to where they need to go. We're going to talk about some of the incidents we have, though. Continuing to talk about this road closure for the house fire that Richard's been covering. East Boulevard at Lombardi Circle closed between Scott and South Kings Drive. It's actually closed between Cumberland right here and then Maryland Avenue, so a little bit closer in there specifically, but just know that you're not going to be able to turn on East Boulevard at all because of this scene that is ongoing right now. Accident has the shoulder blocked on I-85 northbound in Gaston County. This is at NC 273. This has been on the map since 6:30 this morning. It continues to be on the map. It is in the shoulder though, so there's just slow traffic in the area, really all across I-85 northbound as it has been for hours. So just be aware of that this morning if you're just heading out. Going to the east side now, another accident that's starting to pick up congestion is Idlewild Road at Conference Drive. This is just east of Independence Boulevard. So a very high trafficked area this time of the morning. Just drive safely.
Happening today, we are just hours away from the Love and Life kickoff in Uptown. This weekend, Charlotte businesses are hoping to get the positive effects from the festival.
It's expected to bring in thousands to the Queen City, which could mean significant economic boost for a lot of local businesses. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris now live for us this morning in Uptown. Miles, you spoke to some business owners about how they're preparing for this influx of people.
Yeah, Ben and Lisa, they are. It's them. It's the Love and Life music organizers when it comes to this festival as well. They are getting set for what's expected to be a very, very busy weekend, especially in this area here. Now, those local businesses, especially those inside the 7th Street Market, they are getting set for what could be their biggest business boom so far this year.
It's gonna be a little, crazy.
Love and Life is taking over Uptown this weekend. Just across the street from Center Stage is the 7th Street Market, which is home to more than a dozen local vendors, including Monobella. Owner Raffaele Patrizzi says that his staff is getting prepared for this weekend as they expect a huge crowd.
Pretty much all week that we are preparing, we are making 4 times more the pasta that we usually do on the weekend, but we are doing 4 times more the pasta of the weekend in each of the day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
He's hopeful to leave a strong first impression with every customer.
How they enjoy phenomenal musicians, they come here and they enjoy some very good and healthy food, healthy environment and safe environment, and they just have a wonderful and enjoyable weekend.
Ben and Lisa, Love and Life organizers, they're expecting to see about 20,000 people come to their music festival every day this weekend here. And when we talk about the convenience, we talk about the hot spots around Uptown and really how busy this place is going to be here. Right here where the 7th Street is, it's going to be very, very flooded with people. Not only do you have that 7th Street Market, but you also have that Cat's Blue Line drop-off right there. And then literally just to the right of that, you also have that Love and Life Music Festival right there in First Ward Park. So again, very, very busy, very, very popular area, which is expected to be flooded with people, but also a very profitable weekend when it comes to those businesses as well. Ben and Lisa.
And Miles, we know that some people may be getting into town now, even though it's still quite early. When we talked to Richard very early this morning before he was on that breaking news, he said there was already one person there waiting to get into the festival. Have you seen any festival goers this morning?
We haven't seen any festival goers, at least in the area that we are right now. We have seen a lot of those people that are tied with the organization and trying to put that prep work together for the festival there. We have seen, though, I will say, some of the staff inside Montebello, they're already gearing up, getting set for that uptick in traffic around here. We actually saw that about an hour ago, so they're already getting set for that heavy foot traffic in this area here. Not seeing any festival goers yet, but I'm assuming that should change here within the next hour or so.
The streamers demand to know, Miles, are you going to anything? Are you going to Kendrick? Are you going to Love and Life? Are you going to any of the above?
I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to be an area that I'm probably going to veer away from just because of how busy it's going to be. I know you mentioned that. You've also got a Knights baseball game going on. You got that Love and Life Music Festival. So not anything that I'm going to get involved with just yet. That could change, but I'm going to stay away from it right now.
His plans could change, folks. His plans could change.
You never know.
You never know what the weekend holds.
All right, Miles. Thank you so.
Let's bring in Chris. He's got a check of your forecast. And, I mean, it could be better.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And could be worse. It could be worse because it for sure could rain all 3 days. So there we go. We're still going to stay optimistic about that. I am seeing a sign that maybe you could try to dry some periods out on Saturday, but realistically, today, good chance of staying dry. Sunday, great chance, especially during the evening. But Saturday, all afternoon, all evening, you have at least a rain chance around, and then some of those could provide storms that could shut some things down. So I just want to show you all those rain chances for your Love and Life concert cast. So we're zooming in right around the Queen City. This also could be the Kendrick cast as well, just because we're looking at a Bank of America stadium that's right in here as well. So let's look closely what the rain is going to do. Now, Benson Boone, also we're going to have SZA and Kendrick going at this point as well. So 8 to 9, I think you're good. We have a very isolated storm chance. Clouds might increase. It might look like it's going to storm. And there is still a chance that, hey, Futurecast is not picking up on it. We're going to see these little green dots, little cells that pop up here and there, but it's mainly going to be northwest of the area. So I think we're going to be good. Rain, I think, after midnight, that's a good possibility. So we'll have a wet start to the day, a wet stage, wet ground, as maybe some of you are walking back. But by Saturday afternoon, we're starting to cloud things up already. That's this white is representing. Here's 1:30. So once you get to about 4:30 in the afternoon, I think you might have already had a storm pass here, but we have active storms across the area. So Petey Pablo at 4:30. I'm excluding some artists. I've only picked a few just for examples here. Once you get to about 5:15, we are likely seeing rain and storms in the area. And you just saw a quick little blip of that red. At 7 o'clock, we're preparing for one stage that Luda is going to be on stage. At this point, you are seeing active storms, I think, in the area. And I'm showing you actually the worst case scenario that kind of keeps rain and storms around for most of the evening. There's a chance for a little bit of a lull, but the tricky thing about this forecast is you don't even need the center of the storm to be upon you. You can actually have the light rain on the outer remnants of it, but as long as the storm is within 10 miles, you're going to hear thunder, and they might have to shut things down and go into that storm protocol. On and off rain, the best case scenario I really see is between about 8 to 11, you have just light rain and you don't have to worry about the storms as much, but then the heaviest rain comes a little bit later on. So it's not a guarantee that we're going to see all this. That's the main reason why we're going weather alert to end the day. I think the storms during the middle of the afternoon to early evening could also bring a severe connotation, so you might even have a chance for some gusty winds, and you don't like to see that with that music equipment. But then by Sunday, things are really starting to clear out. So there's kind of the silver lining that we have there overall. But still, the forecast could be a little bit better. But I also want to show you a better case scenario. This isn't exactly zooming in, but there's also a chance just the trough that we're talking about brings scattered rain on and off through the Queen City between about 5 to 8 o'clock. After that, you don't want this little Boeing segment that's happening, but then you don't really have the fill in the gas for the heaviest rain until closer to midnight. That's the best case. So I think it's really going to be about mid to late evening that the worst of the rain arrives, but there is a little bit of truth that we could maybe try to clear some things out. But all in all, it's going to be just rocking and rolling on and off storms throughout your Saturday.
If you're just now joining us here on WCNC Plus, time now 8:50, and we continue to follow breaking news out of Dilworth, where fire crews are on the scene of a house fire and what appears to be an explosion of that house on Lombardi Circle. This is just off East Boulevard.
This is a live look at the screen. Actually, you're looking at live in the smaller box, and then you can see some video from earlier this morning. Our crews told us that house was for sale. We know that no one was inside the house at the time. We heard from one of the battalion chiefs with Charlotte Fire earlier, who said that there was one injury, a minor injury, not at the house there, but at another home not far away. Again, we know a couple of homes nearby were damaged by this explosion. But again, the good news, everyone made it out safely of those nearby homes. We heard from fire officials just a few moments ago. Listen to this.
Charlotte Fire Communications started receiving calls of a fire on Lombardi Circle this morning, approximately 6:16. Within 2 minutes, first units arrived from Charlotte Fire, declared a working fire. Approximately an hour to an hour and 10 minutes later, the fire was brought under control. We can confirm there was one injury in a nearby structure. That person was evaluated on scene and released by medic. There was no other injuries at this time to report. The fire is under investigation and it remains a very active scene at this time. Fire Communications did receive reports of explosions, and like I said, it's a very active scene. All those calls and everything will be under investigation. At this time, we were able to secure a patent water supply and extinguish the fire. Charlotte Fire trains on a daily basis for any type of problems that can occur. We don't train for everything to be perfect, so we were able to establish a water supply and extinguish the fire. Approximately an hour to an hour and 10 minutes to get the fire under control. Approximately 60 firefighters were brought to the scene it was a second alarm fire. Yes, it affected one of the exposure structures, and that fire was placed under control very quickly by units.
You've been hearing from Charlotte Fire Department there about this fire that broke out around just after 6 o'clock this morning. Neighbors tell us they heard the explosion around 6:14.
Yes.
And then rushed to see what was going on. They saw some of the fire coming from the house, the video that you've seen here. This all unfolding just within blocks of several Charlotte landmarks. Freedom Park's about a block away. Atrium Health's main campus is about a block away. The popular restaurants of East Boulevard are about a block away. So a lot of people are around what is a tight space when this happened.
Right, and we even heard some of the people who talked to our Richard Devane, who was at that scene, saying that they actually felt it in their homes. One woman said she lives 2 blocks over, but could feel the actual explosion earlier this morning there. So we will continue to follow this throughout the day and bring you any updates as we get them. But again, as you heard there from Charlotte Fire, only one minor injury in a structure that was not too far away from where that house fire happened early this morning. All right, Chris has been talking about the rain. Don't let that stop you from getting out this weekend. If you're looking for something sweet, you might want to head to Fort Mill this weekend for the annual Strawberry Festival. There's going to be music, rides, activities, contests, and of course strawberries. Plus there will be plenty of vendors so you can support small businesses. That fun starts this afternoon at 5. It goes until 10 p.m. and the same for tomorrow. And Sunday you can watch nearly 50,000 rubber ducks be poured into the water at the U.S. National Whitewater Center. Every year folks adopt their very own rubber duck, and the proceeds from this race go to Kindermorn. That's the group that helps parents and children find hope and healing after losing a loved one. So far, almost $250,000 has been raised. This event starts at 2 p.m. Again, that is on Sunday. There are also a couple of nights games this weekend, so a lot happening across the area.
You can't say that you're bored this weekend.
No excuses.
You got lots of options. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break here on WCNC Plus. Coming up in just about a minute and a half, 90 seconds, we're going to have the latest on that breaking news out of Dilworth about that home explosion. Also going to have a check of your forecast, what's expected to be a busy weekend around Charlotte. And then our own Jay Monreal. You can see her there, bottom left corner of the screen, standing by in our live Impact Stream studio. She's going to be talking with a travel expert about summer travel. She'll also have the latest on that breaking news out of Dilworth. That coming your way. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus all day long. Live now at 8:56, I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We are following that breaking news happening in Dilworth this morning. A house fire and explosion on Lombardi Circle that's just off East Boulevard. This is a live look at the scene right now. Our crews tell us this house was for sale. We know that no one was injured in that home. There was a minor injury not far away in a home. A couple of nearby homes, though, were damaged by the explosion. Again, everyone made it out safely, and we will have a live report. Actually, we'll have continuing coverage coming up on WCNC Plus at 9 o'clock.
Rain chances today on and off, but very isolated across the Charlotte area. Best chance for rain and storms is right in this area for the mountains and the foothills. That starts middle of the afternoon, ends the middle of the evening. Then all of us have a chance for rain, even a rumble of thunder overnight. Through the afternoon, pop-up showers and storms start to develop. It's really about the late afternoon heading into the early evening that we have, I think, our best chance for numerous storms. Some of these could be strong to severe. And then we start to see this widespread rain, very heavy through the evening, hoping it doesn't affect the concert, but it's not looking great. Rain will clear out by your Sunday, allowing for a brighter afternoon Sunday.